My whole life, I always knew I was special. Even with no remainders, I could always move a decimal. Money on my mind while the girls that made un beso. Hustlers in my blood and it's running through my vessels. Just trying to clear the threshold, just trying to make a way. In my race against time, I could see an early grave. School to prison pipeline, 12 years a slave. Suspension and detention is conditioned for a cage.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is the feud between Ryan Garcia and George Ferocious Kambosos. Ryan Garcia said that he would stop George Kambosos in 7 rounds. But let's take a look at the growing feud between Ryan Garcia and George Kambosos. So, on Twitter, and this is all put together perfectly through ESPN Ringside, so we're just going to view it through ESPN Ringside. George Kambosos said, at Ryan Garcia, you're a good kid, Ryan. I like you, but take a ticket, buddy, and try not to pull a heartstring again or injure yourself. Shadow boxing with your eyes closed, you might run into a wall. That's what George Kambosos said. So Ryan Garcia responded by saying, it's a shame. Been out the game for a year, and my name still resonates much larger than all the lightweights combined. Don't worry, whatever route you choose, just know you never catch up or beat me. So then Kambosos responded by saying, the game's changed, boy. I run the game now. Regardless of how many 11, 12, and 13-year-old followers you have, a king ain't ish to an emperor. So then Ryan responded by saying, there's nothing you can do, George. I got a true fan base. You can come for my whole army. I'm ready to go to war. You can't be an emperor with no army. I will KO George Kambosos. That's a promise. And then Ryan Garcia shared another tweet, which I'm going to pull up. Give me a second. In which he makes a prediction for when he would get rid of Kambosos. And here's what Ryan Garcia said. He said, I do like the George Kambosos Jr. fight. I would sell it better than all these other guys. I win that fight. I knock him out probably within 7 rounds. And so, as you can see, there's where it started. You see George Kambosos in the comment section there. So I'm going to turn it over to Conspiracy, because you said you actually thought that he had the best chance to dethrone George Kambosos, and now you see them having words. So what's your reaction to this, Conspiracy?
All right. The only thing I don't like about Ryan is he's sounding like the Mexican Wilder right now. All this king talk gets me a little nervous. You ain't gotta talk all that king, ruler, yada yada yada, prove it in the ring. But however, Ryan does have the skills that could actually beat Kambosos. So him saying I could stop him within 7 rounds, I actually believe Ryan. He does have the speed and the reach advantage. Now, it's gonna be a hard time for Ryan in the first couple of rounds. He's gonna need to adjust to Kambosos. But once he adjusts to Kambosos, I think, man, that left hook is gonna catch Kambosos, man. And I don't know if Kambosos could eat that. If he eats one, maybe one. He's not going to eat 2 of them. So I actually agree with Ryan on this, that he could stop Kambosos in 7 rounds. And that's not to belittle Kambosos at all. I think George is an excellent fighter. It's just styles make fights. And that Ryan Garcia has those tools that could essentially dethrone Kambosos.
Dollar bill.
Shout out to Ryan Garcia, the undisputed TikTok champion. Ryan, you got to get in there first. You got to knock off those cobwebs. You haven't fought in a while. And this is what I'm saying to you. Kambosos is coming off of a great victory. Not a good victory, a great victory where he became undisputed. You know?
When he became something.
you know, and he took a tough shot. He took a good punch from a guy who's considered to be a puncher, Teofimo Lopez. And he was able to endure that punch. So his confidence, he got a different type of confidence, and he was just in there. So he's riding high. Ryan Garcia, your confidence. I think you have what G was saying, everything G was saying. You have the tools and the skills to be something phenomenal. I think that with the confidence comes in the heart, Ryan. I think that when you was pulling out of these fights, it's just me getting in my conspiracy bag. I think in the Campbell fight, something happened. I don't think that you faced adversity, but I think it put some doubt in your mind, especially how you went down. Even though you came back and you won by stopping Campbell, I still think that for some odd reason that put some type of doubt in your mind, and that's what prompted you to take this long layoff. So I think for you need to get back in there instead of jumping in there with a Kambosos, is just to jump in there with somebody to make sure that you're still there all mentally. Because you were saying the pressures and things that you had going on mentally and stuff like that. Maybe you just need to get in there with somebody else before you step in there with Kambosos, because in the ring, they're not forgiving. Like, you can't make, like my bro Katie says this all the time, you know what I'm saying? Once you step in that ring, nobody wants to hear the excuses. So you got to make sure that you're 100% right after taking this long layoff before you jump in there with Kambosos, who's coming off of his most impressive win to date so far, you know?
Yeah, I just like to co-sign what Trill's saying. I actually agree with you 1,000%. So, excellent point. Definitely start off with a tune-up. Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting topic for me because to see them going back and forth, it looks like Kambosos really wants all the smoke because he's talking to Devin, he's talking to Ryan, he's talking to everyone. So it really looks like Kambosos is like enjoying being the shot caller and he's relishing in that. But you know, one thing I would say to George Kambosos is take it a little bit easy. Ryan's fans are coming of age now where they're starting to be old enough to order pay-per-views. Not yet. They still got to get permission from their parents, but they're fastly approaching the age where they can order the pay-per-views for themselves. So you might want to be kind to those Ryan Garcia fans.
And they got Christmas money.
They got their allowance money, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you, let's be honest, you know, parents have a weakness for their kids, and they may be able to get their parents to order the fight. So take it easy on them. But in all seriousness, I do think, like I said before, there's a major opportunity that has opened up for a lot of fighters, particularly in the lightweight division, where you thought you were going to have to face Vasily Lomachenko, or you were going to have to face Teofimo Lopez to become somewhat undisputed champion. You now have to face George Kambosos. And even with his victory over Teofimo Lopez, I don't think he strikes the fear in the hearts of these fighters that Vasily Lomachenko did. I don't think he strikes the fear that Teofimo Lopez did. Even when you watch the fight against Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos, I think many people feel like Teo did himself in by wasting so much energy early in the fight. And then when he settled in later on, he actually started to win some rounds and even dropped Kambosos later. And so one would say if he would have respected Kambosos from the beginning and just fought that way from the beginning, you know, would Kambosos still have been able to pull that fight off? Remember, Kambosos dropped Teofimo Lopez as a result of him being overly aggressive and not worrying about defense. So I think, not to take anything away from Kambosos, I feel like people always act like someone's trying to discredit Kambosos, but you have to call a spade a spade. You have to call it what it is. Kudos to Kambosos for being aware and being prepared to take advantage of Teofimo Lopez's mistake in that moment. But let's be clear, it was a mistake that Teo made that opened the door for Kambosos. And I just think that Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Tank Davis, and Devin Haney, if you put them on a lie detector test, they'd rather face Kambosos than Vasily Lomachenko. They'd rather face Kambosos than Teofimo Lopez. And I think that's just the reality of the situation. So I think now that he's the one on the throne, all these guys are going to throw rocks at it because they want that fight. because they feel more confident. And so I think Ryan Garcia is looking at it like, man, I can be king of the hill and I can avoid Vasily and I can avoid Tio. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. I'll knock him out. You talk to Devin, Devin's reigning. It's like all these guys got their chest puffed out, right? But I would love to see how they would be if it was Vasily up there. So, with that being said, I like what he's saying. And if he makes the fight with Ryan Garcia, I think I can understand why he would make the fight with Ryan Garcia. He just won the title. He wants to put on a show in Australia. Ryan's top level, Ryan's top class. It's like Ryan's a good fight to bring. He could, let's be real, he could take a tuna can to Australia if he wanted to, just to put on a show. And we got to give him that, because he just beat Teofimo Lopez. So if he brings Ryan to Australia, that's a hell of a fight. So I think it's a hell of a fight if he wants to make it. At the end of the day, it's what Kambosos wants. And if he wants Ryan, I'm all for it.
Yo, hold on. I got a question. It might be a stupid question, but so Teofimo doesn't have a immediate rematch clause for Kambosos?
Nah.
Yeah. He was offered it, though. Let's not forget that, though.
He want to go to 140.
He said he can't make 130 anymore. He made 130 5, and the way he made it was unhealthy, and it put his life at risk. Remember, he had air in the lungs. He wasn't, so he's saying that he has to move up. Like, he can no longer continue to make 135. That's his side of the story. That's Tio's side of the story.
And he's sticking to it. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.